Hey everyone, it's Types, and today I'm going to be going over the results from the World Championship, which happened around 2 weeks ago at this point, I think. And they started maybe a week ago. But anyway, Limitless didn't have the results for a while, and nor did anywhere else as far as I know. They had some results. Still not all the results are in, but these might be all the results we get. Which is the top 64. I'm not going to be going over all the lists in the top 64 anyways. So, in fact, not most lists. And I'm not really going to be talking about the top 8 either. I've talked about that before. You can check out the podcast for that and all that stuff. And of course, there are other places. I'm sure you've heard that talked about a bunch. I want to talk about some of the other stuff and the other more interesting lists. So first of all, the meta here. So a lot of it was unsurprisingly Lost Box. Lost Box includes a wide variety of decks as well. So if we just take a look at a few lists, they might all be very similar. Yeah, those are there. A lot of them are like V-Box. I think it also includes. I'm just going to open up all the Lost Box lists from Worlds. I think this is all of them. And then this one, okay, this one is a Kyogre list, another Kyogre list. Now we got a Dragonite or like a V-Box list. This one is even a little bit different, so we'll take a look at that one a bit later. Um, and then yeah, that one's normal. Another Kyogre, it's pretty split. Excuse me, I'm well, feeling a little under the weather right now, but you have a pretty equal split of the Kyogre builds and the V builds. I personally prefer the Kyogre single prize based build. Some play both as well. Um, and so a lot of Vs here. Maybe it's more towards the V-Box build, but I think like the top the top performing one does play some Vs. But this list here is a little bit different, and I want to pull this one up. Because I think some of them played just yeah, oh no, this one played. Okay, it looks like pretty much all of them played Vs. Some played Kyogre though, and then if they play Kyogre, they play less Vs. Usually they'd always play Drapion. But this one plays Pidgeot V. If you don't know what Pidgeot does, first of all, it is a target for Force Heal Stone, which allows you to search your deck for any card. And Pidgeot here has an ability that lets it just get shuffled back into the deck if it's in play. It needs to be on the bench, but it gets shuffled back into your deck. This can help you knock deck out, but most importantly, it means that it's not a liability in play. You usually don't want Drapion in play for most matchups. It's pretty much just there for Mew and can be subtly helpful in the Gardevoir matchup, but mostly for Mew. So if against anything else, you want to be able to get Force Heal Stone into play and attach it and then use it and use a V, so you can do Pidgeot V, Force Heal Stone, slap it back into the deck, and you get some pretty good usage out of that. And then you also have Wuchen EX here, which is a really interesting Pokemon. Looks like, yeah, it does play more grass than water, which is surprising. I feel like water might be a little better here, but it doesn't really matter. You need water for Radiant Greninja, Psychic for Sableye, Grass for Wuchen. And Wuchen here has an attack that's covered as Ivy, and it does 60 to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon for each prize they've taken. This can get into up to really big single target bench damage. I don't know how much recovery this list plays. It plays 3 Rod and a Clair, so that's pretty, and a Palpad. So yeah, you will probably have access to that. Clearing stuff is kind of sketchy, because you can't Mirage get the energies that you've cleared. But it's not that crazy, but it's interesting to note. And then they play the Snorlax. I guess you have 4 energies, so you can attack with Forest Blast as well for 220, which is not an awful attack by any means, but it's probably too awkward to use most of the time. Oh, and then it looks like the Radiant Charizard build would be shown separately. This is a different tournament playing Radiant Charizard, so it looks like no one played Zard in their Lost Box. Anyways, this is the next most played deck here is Mew Genesect, which was always played with Meloetta. It did actually end up winning the tournament, and 9 people played it, so tied with for second and third with Lugia Archeops. Although Lugia Archeops includes both decks include multiple decks. VVMAX includes the Meloetta build and the non-Meloetta build, often referred to as the double turbo build. But I think everyone played the Meloetta build. It calls it here Fusion Mew, and then the other deck, Lugia Archeops, includes colorless Lugia Archeops and single strike Lugia Archeops. I don't know if everyone played single strike, but I know a lot of them did. But here we see pretty normal stuff, it looks like. I did run Box Disaster. If you're KO'd, you do a bunch of damage. You need to be one-shot, and if you're KO'd, you put a bunch of damage on the defending Pokemon. And then that's pretty good because this allows you to one-shot stuff easier. I don't know if it's considered a one-shot if you put damage with Box Disaster. But and also Crystal Cave. That's useful in the Lost Zone matchup. I don't know. That one's surprising me a little bit. It heals essentially your Genesects. It's not like a bad stadium, but to me, Lost City seems a little more useful, and it also runs Path. But yeah, this is a pretty normal meter list. This next list here, it runs Ice Cube. I don't know, did the other one run Ice Cube? No, it didn't, but this one does. This one does as well, and I'm looking for anything like interesting. It doesn't look like anything crazy. And then this next list here, and I'm pretty sure these are all from the World Championship. Again, it looks pretty normal. Of course, you have some variety and like supported and stuff like that, but it's nothing crazy that I see. And if there are any other lists you want me to talk specifically about, I can do that as well. Like some like cleansing gloves, most might actually. It's important against. It's good in the mirror, but against Gardevoir, it's quite good. Next list plays again very similar. Um, and then this next list, and I think they all play some like one path, which is pretty normal. To me, I don't know. It's kind of weird. It's hard to find when you need it, but it is findable. If you get a little lucky, though, Mew VMAX is one of the luck-based decks with a Chromatic. Next up, Lugia Arceus, again, tied for second most plays. And we see that this deck has, again, 9 plays. I don't know if these are single strike builds. I think most are single strike builds. They, of course, use Lugia, put Arceus onto the bench. So a bunch of special energy. This one is a single strike build, running Tyranitar as the main attacker. We see Urshifu, 1/1 Urshifu, Yveltal, and that's it. And, of course, like, Lugia to attack with. And it's Squawkabilly as well. So that doesn't always see play, but Squawkabilly is, it's not uncommon in the deck. This is pretty normal stuff. Single strike Urshifu is a bit out of the ordinary, but not that crazy. And then this other list runs Stonjourner, which is more common than Urshifu. Pretty much the same idea. And then, because you want like type coverage, but again, this one with Urshifu, this one with Stonjourner. And of course, you have like pretty normal. You have single strike energy. You have some double turbos, V-Guards, Jet, and gift energy for like a draw. This one plays Medicham V, which is pretty interesting. You can power this up using pretty much anything. But if you get a KO with it, it puts 2 damage counters on something. If you get a KO, you get to take an extra turn, which is very good. It's usually if you just come up short on attackers, but that can happen with Tyranitar V from time to time. I'm surprised by it, but it's a cool play. We see this is a Stonjourner and a Tyranitar V listed. Oh, and it does run Yveltal as well. So yeah, pretty like normal stuff here though. Again, completely normal stuff. And some more normal stuff. I think Collapse Dames played with Squawkabilly to get the Squawkabilly off. We see only 1 Lumineon. Usually they play 2, but it doesn't really matter. That one played Great Ball as well, which is kind of interesting. They could play Great Ball, Capturing Armor, and Ultra Ball just for more search. And okay, this one's a colorless. The other one was, yeah, this one was single strike, but this next list here, finishing 56th, was colorless. So this one is Lugia, Archeops stuff, and then Snorlax, and Slacking and Weirdeer. So Snorlax here, just a very efficient single prize attacker, hitting 180 for 3, which is not that hard to power up. We saw it in the Lost Zone, one of the Lost Zone lists, maybe multiple earlier. And it's pretty good. And then you have a Weirdeer V, which you can swing into the active and take the energy from all your other Pokemon and stick it onto Weirdeer, which is very good. You can do 40 for each energy attached to it, which can one-shot stuff. It's kind of like Tyranitar V. It's more like a one-time use late game type attacker, but Weirdeer V can be very strong. And then Slacking V hits for 260 here. So that's very good for 4. It's not it's a little bit awkward, but it's still pretty good. But then can attack on pretty much most of the game with his abilities, so you have Path to turn that off, and no Spiritomb. Spiritomb would turn Lumineon off, so Path turns Lumineon and Squawkabilly and Lugia off. Keep that in mind, but yeah, and Collapse as well to remove some of the stuff from the bench, which is, it's not anything crazy, but it's different. And then this last list is just another single strike list that apparently is laid out differently, which is kind of weird. But yeah, pretty much same idea. And we run Stonjourner and Urshifu. So nothing crazy there with Lugia. Trust me, stuff will get a little more interesting. But then tied for 4th, we have Giratina and Gardevoir. So we got, let's see, 7 Gardevoir lists, and this came second, by the way, so pretty good. This list here, I think this is the second place list. It doesn't do anything crazy. It plays, I don't know, you can look into it more. It's pretty much normal stuff, though. This next list here, It's pretty much normal stuff as well. We see Penny. Was Penny in the first place list? It was not. Penny is useful in a few things. It's kind of helpful against control as well. This one actually plays it plays this routes, which usually no, this routes, which there you go. The Laws from Scarlet and Violet, which usually doesn't see very much play. It doesn't really matter. Let's be honest. Versus this route, they're pretty much the same thing. And then next we have this list, which actually runs for this routes for this Curlia. Something crazy, two Zacians, four Sealstone. It's whatever. It's just the same list. Oops. Um, Same list. 10th and 45. So two people play the same list, which is fine. That happens sometimes. But anyways, we got more normal stuff. This one plays the other Glade, though. I really like this Glade. It allows you to search out different supporters. We see one research, one penny, one worker. So it allows you to search out those one of supporters easier and pal pads, and you can get the supporters right away. And it plays lower counts of some other supporters as well. Again, nothing too crazy, though. Next up, this list runs same thing. Yeah, this is the list we saw earlier. And then we see same thing with the normal route split. Usually it's 3-1. Usually it's 3-1 for both. Again, it doesn't matter too much. I definitely think this Curly is better, but or is good to have in the deck. But most lists did play it, but yeah, nothing too crazy here. And then this list does run Sky Sealstone. Some run that. It can be good. It's not super versatile, or it's not super good in a lot of matchups. Giratina. Excuse me, Giratina lost zone came in third here, or tied for third. And so that's fun. It doesn't. Again, these aren't like new decks. A few of them are like new decks, but most of them aren't. But I want to take a look at the list anyway with you. So we got pretty normal lost zone stuff with 4 Jet Energy. I don't like 4 Jet Energy. Like Jet Energy is an okay card, but it like yeah, I don't know. It doesn't work with Mirage Gate, which doesn't seem ideal. Like obviously it's nice. It gives you another switch. Switches are very important in the list, but it's not really great late game play because you need to attach energy late game probably. So I don't know. Jet Energy is an okay card, but it doesn't really fulfill the same. It doesn't really fulfill the energy requirements most of the time, and it also does not usually fulfill the. It fulfills the switch requirements early game, but I don't know. Obviously, a lot of people like it a lot, and some people. I think like three's okay, and two's. I'd say like two or three's like the number I'd prefer. But obviously, this list did pretty well with 4. By the way, this was into the how they evolved format. So no Charizard, no Pidgeot. So like in-person tournaments are like always, or not always, but pretty much always out of date, which is kind of funny and a bit unfortunate for them. But this is why they're not great resources, but they certainly offer they're interesting to look at, and they offer certainly some insight. Um, and so this one's a Spiritomb, which is fine to counter Mew. The other list I'm assuming did not. Yeah, it did not. I wonder how many people ran like Spiritomb. Looks like a good chunk. Some people ran it. It wasn't all over the place. Obviously, Mew Mash is a very good deck, as it did win. But Spiritomb is good. I think it's like better than Drapion, because it's a single pricer. But in multi-price decks, you can certainly put in Drapion. And this one just plays 3 Jet Energies and more like other energies. I feel like 2 Waters is kind of sketchy, as you're very much going to struggle to power up Radiant Greninja. This is why I play. I think you want like 3 or 4. But anyways, there are certainly listed well, and there are different routes you could go down. You can't have all the energies certainly. Next up, same idea. This one's very simple. Like 2 Waters, kind of sketchy, but yeah, pretty normal stuff. Oh, and then they play like Path. I should be talking about that. I don't know if all of them played Path. I don't know if the top list played Path. Where's the list? There we go. Yeah. So but it played like less Path. This one like plays Path and Template. No. As opposed to Beach Court or like Art Zone. I don't know. I think those are probably better, but Path's good. I wouldn't play Template Sinnoh, but Path is really good. Path in Lost Zone is like a new thing, and it's because Path is super good right now with Zard. In here it was good against Mew, but you could just play like say you could play Spiritomb, you could play Drapion. But against and it's good against some other decks as well. Like it's pretty solid against Guardy. It's good against It's good against a lot of decks. It turns out Radiant Greninja as well, which can be bad. But like Path's a very powerful stadium. I think Beach was better than Lost Zone, but um, in Giratina you're not retreating as much, so Path is pretty good. Next list. This one's like Path and Tomb. I feel like that's a bit redundant, but um, yeah, and it's a very strong deck. Cross Switchers as well. I mean, some people like Pokestop then, but anyways, nothing crazy here. This one with like the classic one Poke gear. Uh, and yeah, these are like pretty normal decks though. I don't see too much out of the ordinary with any of these. This one with the Raihan, others might have Raihans as well. And only one Boston Cross Switcher. So Cross Switcher has played in a bunch of them, which is kind of interesting, but it's fine. Now Chain Power Excalibur played by 5 people. Because it was newer, not as many people played it. Because people just don't like new decks, or like they do, but they always like to say they're bad, which is kind of weird. Anyway, so this is pretty normal stuff. Chimp-Out, it actually plays a split of Bax Calibers, which is kind of interesting. And then we see 2-2 Palkia, 2-2 Barrel, and then and pretty normal stuff. Like this is it plays Skater's Park, which is a little bit interesting. We do see Canceling Cologne. Then we see it's a boss list with no cross switcher, so that's fine. I think. I mean, it's a Champion Bax Caliber. It's very good. This one plays Palkia, which is kind of interesting. A lot of lists I don't think play Palkia. Yeah, a lot of play Arceus. But it doesn't matter too much. We see this one's like I don't know. It plays like Pokestop, which is fine. I think it's kind of weird. Like the idea is if you hit your energies, it's not the end of the deal end of the world because you can recover them with Superior. But yeah, pretty solid stuff here. But like 1/1 Barrel and 1/1 Arceus and 1 Luminia, 1 Manaphy, 1 Radiant Greninja. Like Pokestop is definitely gonna hit some of those. That's why you play. Only plays a 1 Rod. I mean, to like do well at like Worlds, you kind of got to play like risky stuff. But it's not. I don't know. This is kind of sketchy. Um, but it's a strong list certainly. And obviously it leans into this force superior energy retrieval. By being able to recover them. Recover the energies easier. This list again plays actually the split of Frigibax, I think in the other way. But yeah, 2-2 Barrel and no V-Star it doesn't look like, which is interesting. I'm surprised not a 1/1 Arceus, but obviously it is something you gotta fit into the list. It is not as useful. This is a normal Pokestop list, and I think this is a very good Pokestop list with Cross Switcher. This is how I'd play like a Pokestop list. I don't know. I usually don't. I think Lost City is very good in the deck, but honestly, like Lost City, if you're like destroying the bench, you're probably winning anyways. But Lost City is there for Radiant Greninja attacks. This one does play Canceling Clone, but does not play Lost City. This one again is like a Pokestop build with Arceus. It does not play by barrel. I think this is like you don't want too many Pokemon with a Pokestop. This one isn't as serious of a Pokestop one. We actually see Cynthia's Ambition, which is kind of cool as well. You see a variety of supporters, which is really interesting. Seems kind of sketchy. Like you're definitely in the middle with Pokestop. Do we see Palpad here? Looks like we don't, but you just kind of roll with what you got and kind of hope. And you have Arceus to hit him in the early game too. Although like not worker, you wouldn't probably Arceus for worker. And then this list is a pretty normal list with Skaters Park. I guess people aren't really playing Lost City at this time for whatever reason. So you see Palkia, Barrel, Shinpao, Baxcalibur. Pretty normal stuff. Only 2 Baxcalibur, of course, a little sketchy, but you probably only need 1 in the game anyways. And yeah, that's about it. So Shinpao obviously made some of showing, but nothing crazy there. It's better now. And it was very good, but not everyone played it. Next up, we have Inteleon Urshifu. Inteleon VMAX, like Ping and Urshifu, they're alternate attackers depending on matchups and stuff like that. And they're like bench stuff. This one is very generic. It doesn't even run Squawk ability. But yeah, this is fine. It runs Spiritomb instead of Drapion, which just makes sense. And nothing crazy. 2 Melanie. I think it's usually 1. Maybe it's just changed to 2. Giacomo as well is like a Mew counter because they're all playing the fusion build of Mew, which is the stronger build. And Giacomo is directly there for that. It's not particularly great in other matchups. That's about it. It's pretty normal stuff. 3 Forest Sealstone, that seems high to me. But it's not crazy. Oh yeah, no, I guess they did usually play two Melody. And then yeah, pretty normal stuff here. Um, if you haven't played the deck, try it out. It's a cool deck. And it's pretty solid right now as well. Next up, this list is oh wait, is this the same list? It might be. Um, and then it has I'm trying to see if it has I think it's the same list. And then this list is a different list. That's good. Um, this one's actually like simpler, I think. No, it's again pretty simple. We see yeah, pretty much the same type of thing. We see actually Echoing Horn and Fan of Waves. Echoing Horn's no, sorry, Fan of Waves is a bit different than normal, but not that crazy. Um, and then yeah, then we have three people also played Miraidon. Three people played Inteleon, Miraidon, and Arceus. So uh we got let's see, this list here is 2/2 Flaffy, Raikou, two Raichu, two Raikou. This is Zeraora with free retreat. It was kind of interesting. A Squawkabilly. I think this is like it's like a fast list and like has like game push. Regieleki isn't good in the deck. I used to thought I thought that before that I used to think I don't know why I can't like speak so well. I used to think that the Regieleki was good, but it's not. It did takes up too much like space, both in deck. It's not that much deck space, but some deck space and too much bench space. More importantly, to be super good. And then this list plays the 4 Electric Center and plays the Flaffy line, meaning that you can accelerate energy a lot throughout the game. It's a very good deck. It's interesting. It's kind of like the path is kind of weird. I don't know. Path is um like the deck doesn't have any engine, and you have like Raikou, and you have like five is not really an engine. But you have like Miraidon, Raikou, and obviously Squawkabilly turn one. But after that, you don't have much going on. So you're kind of hoping you play like Iono, like you just don't draw tons of cards. So you're kind of hoping that things just go okay for you. It's a deck that can still stall out with Path. This list does not play Path. This is more of a regular list. Okay, this is actually what? Why is there a Flying Pikachu here? Is they choose to play Flying Pikachu instead of, and this is Sage and Park's list as well, the goat. But yeah, this is similar stuff except for the Flying Pikachu V. Zapdos also boosts basic Lightning Pokemon damage. It's kind of like Regieleki, but it's a basic, so it's easier to get into play. It doesn't do as much, but it's just much easier to just toss in there. Flying Pikachu V is as a pivot instead of Zero Aura. It's kind of interesting. It has kind of low HP, but it's only 10 lower than Raikou. So if you retreat, and then you have an attack that's paralysis on a coin flip, and an attack that's like immunity on a coin flip. Otherwise, you don't do anything. So that's kind of interesting. But yeah, I did not realize that it played this. But that's a pretty cool tech. We saw Bravery Charm on both lists. In Beach Court to give you some more versatility. You're not shutting off your own abilities. You don't have too many abilities to shut off, but this list runs like Lumineon and Drapion and stuff, so it makes a bit more sense. This list, again, is Beach Court. This runs more heavily Beach Court because you don't need a path. This is a Miraidon Regieleki list. So Miraidon Regieleki is kind of sketchy because it has like no late game. We see 2 Raikous in the list, which isn't crazy. And then you rely on Electric Center. You have like Trekking Shoes, Swishing Cups to give you a better late game, but it's still kind of sketchy. But this is just a very straightforward and easy deck to play if you want to just pick up something. Then you have Arceus, played by 3 people. Looks like 2 of them played Arceus Umbreon, and 1 person played some other Arceus. So this Arceus list here, it has a 2/1 Drapion, which is really interesting, and then 2/2 Umbreon. So Drapion has an attack that's 250 for 3, and then it does less if you have damage counters on it. It has the V-Star power, which like paralyzes and poisons, and does more poison damage, which is kind of interesting. You have, of course, Arceus and Umbreon to Gust. And then one of them, a Barrel Radiant Alakazam. This is like a normal Arceus box list, except they've chosen to play Drapion, which is really interesting. Of course, it gives you a better Mew matchup. This is a deck that should not be losing to Mew too often, or pretty much like at all, because you do run Path. You run 2 types of Path, which seems kind of sketchy because Arceus has an ability, Drapion has an ability, and Umbreon has an ability, and they're all very good. And Radiant Alakazam. So Path's kind of sketchy, but obviously it's very good in certain matchups. And then Lost City, just to Lost and stuff, is a generic stadium bump primarily. It's okay in a few matchups as well. Then Box of Disaster. Box of Disaster is like again, I talked about it earlier. With Mew, it's like a delayed choice belt, which is pretty cool. And then you also have pretty normal stuff. Volo is like healing. Yeah, and that's about it. Next up, another Arceus Umbreon. This is like a normal Arceus Umbreon list, even like very normal. If you haven't played it, again, it's a cool deck. It's kind of inconsistent at times, but it's a cool deck. This one runs the Arceus Umbreon, and then one Flying Pikachu for that immunity. It gives you great mashup into Chien Pao. And it's pretty solid against Lost Zone, but it's not amazing. Feel like Chien Pao Palkia, it's very good. And then reading Alexam again, Holucha, Luminion. We have Spiritomb and Slacking, which we've talked about before. Um, yeah, we see Raihan as well. I think Raihan's good. Adventures Discovery is interesting, as it is a form of Gust with Umbreon, which is cool. Um, but yeah, it's kind of sketchy. We see like like a variety of supporters as well, but they are generally, for the most part, usable in other situations. But of course, something like Avery just in a normal hand isn't great. So you have a lot of supporters in this list. But yeah, this is a cool list. And then there's 3 Lost City because you don't really want to get past. And then this list here runs this is Arceus with a 1/1 Aggron. Aggron's an interesting Pokemon. 270 for 5. But Aggron V like hits more. It can like kind of one-shot stuff or like two-shot stuff. And same thing with Aggron V Max, but it's a very big Pokemon. And does hit Chien-Pao for weakness as well, which is a very good deck. Um, Let me see one in Duraludon, which is a very good card for it. Has high HP again, like Aggron, and then possibly more importantly, it's immune to Pokemon with special energy, notably Lugia. So you have a really nice answer to Lugia with that. And then you see Alakazam, Spiritomb, and Drapion. We actually see Calamitous Wasteland in this deck, which is really interesting, increasing the retreat cost of basic non-fighting Pokemon by 1 colorless. I honestly don't know what that's in there for exactly. But it's an interesting card, and it's a generic stadium bump as well. We see Collapse, and then we see him not playing Lost City. We see him playing Calamitous, but that's fine. It's cool. I don't know. Honestly, I'm not exactly sure the reason for Calamitous. Um, I don't think it's just theoretically you could do like spread with Aggron V, and then like mill with Aggron V Max as well. So it could be there for that, which is kind of interesting. Yeah. And then I think that's about it for the Arceus lists. And then we have 2 people played Palkia, person played Hisuian and Gudra, and 1 person played Counterbox. So we got this is the 9th place list, by the way. So just out of the top 10 is a Palkia list with a Palkia just is a very solid Pokemon, a 4/3 Palkia here with Chin Pao to get the energies. And then you can accelerate them with Palkia. You can hit with the Radiant Greninja, hit with Articuno as well, a paralysis-based Pokemon, and you have Melanie, so you can attack with both Palkia and Chien-Pao. You don't attack with Chien-Pao that much, but you can do it when you have to. And so yeah, it's in some sense, it's a very straightforward, consistent deck. In my opinion, this deck isn't that good. I know a few people have played it though. It got a lot of hype going in. This runs the Gardevoir engine as well. So Gardevoir is a nice draw engine, and then you can accelerate with Gardevoir. Of course, it's a bit inconsistent. We don't see any Melanies here, which seems kind of scary, but we see 1 Raihan, and that's about it. But then at the end of the game, you can Energy Cycle a Super Rod in a bunch of your energies, and then have guaranteed hits on with Gardevoir, and then accelerate to Chien-Pao, to Kyogre, Radiant Greninja, or Palkia, and hit a very big attack at the end of the game. And we see Pokestop so get there faster and like Lost City and stuff. So it's a very good early game, a very good late game, not the best middle game, depending how things go. But it's an interesting deck. I've played it again. It's not the strongest deck, but it's a cool deck. One person played Gudra here. Finished 26. So this is Lost on Gudra. Very similar to Lost on Giratina. Looks like this list doesn't do too much interesting. Runs Drapion, Zamazenta. Yeah, Drapion and Spiritomb is kind of interesting, but seeing as Mew1, it's not that crazy. And the Psychics are kind of questionable. Like, Sableye is very good, so I guess it makes sense, but you are spreading your energy counts a bit here. And then we see Temple and Path as well, which is kind of interesting. And then we see this list. This is a control list. So I'll open this list up like this. And oh, we can't see the whole list. I'll open up like this. So it's a pretty normal control list, all things considered. It's a bit out of the ordinary, but you see Regieleki for recovery as well as you see. So let's see. So to sit behind, you have Diancie and you have Mimikyu as a wall. Diancie to also a wall, but doesn't it dies, but you won't get gusted. You have the normal draw and Rotom B. You have energy disruption in the form of Yveltal and Flannery and Crushing Hammer as well. You have, as I said, recovery with Regieleki, Calpad, and normal stuff. No like loops here, which is kind of interesting. Bouffalant, oh, that's also energy denial. And then we have like the Dronjin here is, as I said, Rotom, but also Radiant Greninja. And then you have Luxray for hand disruption as well as that's it for hand disruption. And then you have Espeon, you have Moon and Sun Badge. So you can get your Espeon hit and then retreat it. Espeon is very important against Lost Zone to stop Sableye. And you can Penny Loop kinda as well. And then you have Lone Vulpix V-Star, which is immune to Pokemon with the Builders, which is a really nice Pokemon that I thought was going to see a ton of play at Worlds, and I really did not see much. But it's a very good card. Um, yeah, and that's about it. Bravery Charms, you can like tank better. It's not in V-Guard Energy as well. It's realistic. It's like not that crazy of a list. You have Velocity as well to remove certain threats. It's a kind of sketchy list, but yeah. I hope you enjoyed the video as well. I think I just wanted to showcase some of the decks from Worlds. And I'm interested in hearing what your thoughts on it. Obviously, it's a bit a ways after, but I hope you enjoyed. As always, I'm excited to see you next time.